And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the MTMV main card with your man, the myth, the legend, the voice. And when I say it's that time, 6:15 every Tuesday. That's the time that you've been waiting for. Why 15:15? Because we just do it like that. We're different. So we thank you for being different and rocking with us. One thing that is consistent is in the opposite corner. My verbal sparring partner. I started to say something, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to call him by his given name. It's the name that I gave him. I've given him many, but I'll go with the one that he is most fond of. The Iron One, Wildress Ruff. What's up, Ruff?
I'm here, man. I'm here, and it's smoke o'clock because I'm here for all the smoke at all times. I appreciate you not calling me the Butcher because I felt it. My spirit felt that you wanted to say the Butcher, but it's all good because I'm not even worried about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend. You see the shiny halo on his forehead, but it's really not a halo. It's just the lighting. The voice. So how you feeling today?
Oh, man. Today has been a day. I was out much of the day due to some respiratory things, so I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you feel better. Make sure you take it easy. But we got an incredible show for you today. We're going to get into some UFC 283, Eubank Jr. versus Smith. But before that, we're going to get into KOs and low blows. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, one of the biggest news pieces in combat sports is Francis Ngannou is officially a free agent. Now, this is happening. This is John Jones returning for what many had hoped to be would be a super bout. Now, Francis was actually interviewed today. He said he's actually aiming to have 2 fights this year, starting in July. Now, possibilities are currently being worked out for Gane, so he didn't have exactly who he would be fighting, but his gut feeling is that he'll get some of his long-term desires to be met, including his professional boxing match. However, it won't be with the PFL. So despite the image that actually went viral with his mother recently seen wearing a PFL shirt, Ngannou said that it was purely a coincidence. He stated that competing in the organization is an option, though, so we'll definitely see what's going to happen. But boys, what are your thoughts on that and the return of John Jones and Dana White's comments about the money that Ngannou turned down?
It's so interesting because I got a chance to listen to Francis's, or at least a portion of Francis's interview with Ariel Helwani today. We're recording this on Tuesday, as is our custom. And in that interview today, he spoke about a number of things, specifically just some of the sticking points, because he said it's not about the money. They keep saying, oh, the money. It's all about the money. And Ariel even asked him, like, hey, Brock got about 8. So, what they were offering you gonna make you the highest? He was like, against John, maybe. So, it sounds like money-wise that, that may have been there. He said, but it wasn't about the money. He did not do it due to principles. Now, even before this, I heard him say that it was like, it's just, I would be selling out if I took this deal. And he spoke about some of the things that he was looking for. And he said, I asked for a lot of things, and I didn't expect to get all of them. I just expected some kind of consideration, some kind of acquiescence on their part to say, okay, well, no, we can't do that, but we'll do this. But they were like, no, that's not how we do business. He asked about sponsorship stuff. Nope. Health insurance. Nope. A fighter advocate. Nope. It's like, everything you're asking for? No. Here's the money. It's like, you can pay for your own insurance with this. It's like, okay, that's me. But what about the guy who's just starting off at 10 and 10? They can't afford insurance. He's like, I'm asking about this not just for me, but for everyone. So he seemed extremely happy in that interview. Said he understands how the UFC moves, and it was definitely his desire to re-up, because he wanted to fight John. He wanted to fight Stipe again, and then probably fight John once more. But the UFC's stance, their unwillingness to even make any kind of moves is what caused him to go his own way. And he even said he was willing to fight because he was looking for a 3-fight deal. He was willing to fight those 3 fights and then try to box Tyson Fury after that. So he said, I kept compromising. I kept thinking about compromises, but I can't give anymore. I gotta take some kind of stand. So he's taking his stand. I'm sure he will be compensated well. They said Dana was like, well, he just wanted to get more money fighting lesser opposition. If I could have a job making more money doing less work, I'd probably take that job. That kind of sounds smart. Now, from the whole competition standpoint, okay, saying he's scared. He's not scared. I mean, he is the scariest man in fight sports right now.
I want to understand how can he be scared when he's asking for 2 fights against John Jones?
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. And what was interesting with what you said, and why I feel like, so here's my prediction. I think the PFL is going to happen. I'll tell you why. Number one, if you think of all the things that he listed off that he wants, healthcare, he wants to be able to have that flexibility, the type of price he's looking for. I think Jake Paul is coming. If that PFL deal happens, I think Jake Paul is coming because Jake Paul probably has the ability to provide all that and give him the flexibility to have the professional fights that he wants to before that PFL deal takes place.
Yeah. Some of the stuff I don't see happening. For instance, the healthcare piece, because the PFL, they keep raising money for different stuff. Well, they definitely don't have money for healthcare. Like, that's huge. They're still scraping by. Like, they're not making a profit right now. So, fighter advocacy, I can see that. I mean, because Jake Paul is a fighter advocacy person, and the owner is like, okay, which that we shared last week, or say we talked about last week. That seems kind of hokey. How you gonna have an owner of the company who's also an advocate for the fighters? That just those two things don't quite add up.
But if you think about the bottom line, it's possible. If PFL is literally looking to make a major splash and to try to even come close to overtaking UFC, having all those available benefits that UFC and no one else is providing is the perfect way in. So while, he would be the owner and he wants to advocate, he's still advocating for his bottom line. Because he's creating possibilities that nobody else is creating. You already seen the UFC is not going to budge, they're not going to move on certain things. So why wouldn't Jake Paul take that? And I'm not even a big Jake Paul fan. I'm putting that out there. I'm not, advocating them like that. But there's a possibility for it. So why not PFL taking that possibility and maybe even getting additional funding with Paul coming in?
Yeah, they're gonna need it, but here's the thing: you keep getting this additional funding, you have to have a return on the investment at some point, or you're not gonna be able to get the funding. Which is why I said some of the stuff I don't see happening, just because in the short run they don't have that kind of leeway. Now, if they stick around for a while and establish themselves and start turning profits, that's a different story. But they can't even pay for the $1 million payouts at the end of the year with their contract from ESPN. And getting like $5 million or maybe even less than that per year, and they're paying out $1 million 6 times over. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, can it happen? Anything can happen. I'm just excited to see where the best place for him to land will be Bellator. That would be the best place for him to land, just because of their roster and who, because that's really the big thing. Is like, who is he gonna fight? And really, only person out there heavyweight wise is Ryan Bader, unless Steve breaks free, and that's a whole nother ball of wax.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see how that plays out over the next few weeks, even the next few months. So now moving from one super fight that's not happening to one that's basically done. Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Now, Oscar De La Hoya recently set a deadline for Tank and Ryan's bout for today. Now, earlier today, he said that they're close and that the deal is basically done, but things need to be put in writing. So this is what he said. He said the terms have been agreed upon. Everything is agreed upon. The venue, the money, the splits of the fighters for Tank and Ryan. Everything is great. All we need is to put it on the long form. That's basically it. I've never heard of a fight getting made a day before the fight or the week of the event. It's unheard of. So I don't know what I think he was referring to Steven
Espinoza.
What he was referring to earlier. So he said, I'm hoping that we get this signed today because there's no time deal whatsoever. It's all talk right now. We've agreed, but I've always said you don't have a deal until you have a signed deal. And that's the way business works. What are your thoughts on that, boys?
I think it's a lot of posturing on both ends. It's interesting. If I'm not mistaken, I think Tank said this thing needs to be done Monday. So then, not Garcia, but De La Hoya says no Tuesday. Like, okay, what are y'all talking about? Now, one thing Steven Espinoza said that makes a lot of sense, and what I'm really leaning towards is that a deal cannot be done until Tank's trial in Baltimore, which is scheduled for February 16th. Because you don't know what's going to happen. They may say, you know what, sir, you just got out for some domestic violence stuff a couple weeks ago. We've all seen the tape of you snatching old girl up just before COVID at the Super Bowl basketball thing that Mayweather Promotions put on. They also probably saw the tape from the tunnel where he was more than snatching her up. So, now you hitting people with your car and running and all that kind of stuff. And who knows what else is on his file, especially there in Baltimore. So, they can say, nah, dog, you're going to be locked up, for the next 6 months. How they going to fight in April if he is not available because he is incarcerated once again? So, what Espinoza said is right. Nothing can happen until about a month from now. So until then, it's just posturing and a lot of talk on both sides. I saw De La Hoya on TMZ. They like, oh yeah. The contract, I think it's in my email. Oh yes, I think it's in my email. I'm going to talk to Ryan now, and yeah, we should be saying something later today. Well, it's later. Ain't heard nothing. So again, I think it's a lot of posturing on both sides. Let's wait until after February 16th because really nothing can happen until then.
Okay. Well, it's definitely going to be exciting to see. I definitely want to see that fight only because I feel like the blowout from that fight is finally going to allow the dominoes to drop to see all the super fights that we're wanting to see. So it's definitely going to be a great opportunity for both of them. Let's go ahead and get that done. Now, when we come, we're going to take a quick break and get that quick message from Ozell. Listen, if you haven't gotten care of those people that they fired, boy, you ain't got yours on you, dude.
No, I'm not. I don't have them on me today, but I did receive a new shirt to go with my Ozell. So probably Saturday when I step out to see the fight, you'll see me in all my Ozellius glory.
If you catch Boyce out, he can walk around with the blue boy as well with Ozell. So when we come back, we're going to definitely talk about Eubank Gane versus Smith. And we're going to get into UFC 283 to get you ready. Stay tuned, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
It's not just about the love of the game. It's about dedication and commitment through the process. and the patience to endure. There's joy in reaching your goals, and peace in knowing you've done all you're supposed to do. Ozell brand. It's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle.
And welcome back. Now, voice, the British fighting dynasties are literally going to be front and center this Saturday. There's going to be a clash between the two. It's going to be taking place Saturday, the 21st, in Manchester's AO Arena, when Chris Eubank Jr. takes on Liam Smith in a middleweight bout that could set either man up for a super fight or a title shot with the win. I can't think today. Now, the two fighters are not strangers to one another, as they previously been sparring partners, which has left many wondering what will happen in a true clash. Now, this is going to be depending on who you ask how that session went, because both of them are either copping a plea or they're saying, listen, I got that. Now, Eubank stated that he doesn't even remember the session, but that he's bettered 90% of his sparring partners. Liam Smith, meanwhile, has stated that the session was so successful for him that it gave him the confidence that he could win the bout. He stated they put the rematch clause in, so if he batters his sparring partners and if he's so confident in his fight, why put that in? It's nasty. So that's proof in black and white is what he said. Whatever happens, there's clearly beef between the two, with Eubank even going as far as putting up a billboard to taunt Smith that said, it won't be the first time that Liverpool has come to Manchester and taken a beat. Now, boys, we've covered a lot of trash talking on the main card. What are your thoughts on this bout between the two, and who needs this fight more, Eubank Jr. or Smith?
That's a wonderful question as far as who needs it more. Neither fighter is undefeated. So no one's O is on the line. Eubank has lost twice. Beefy, which is his nickname, Liam Beefy Smith, he's lost 3 times and had a draw. So from that perspective, a loss doesn't really hurt either one. I think a loss would hurt Eubank more because he's been on such a tear. Liam is 4-1 in his last 5 fights, where Eubank is undefeated over those 5. And he has been the one who has garnered more attention. Let's not forget that he was supposed to fight Conor Ben, I want to say in December, and then that fell apart. And his trainer for this fight, Roy Jones Jr., has said, look, I'm training him, but I'm not training him to fight Liam Smith. Like, nobody is tripping off this cat, Liam Smith. I'm training him to fight Canelo or to fight Triple G. That's who we're training for. I know we're going to fight Liam Smith, but nobody's tripping off this dude. So for your trainer to make statements like that, to be the more notable fighter, and the one who's had the fanfare lately, it would hurt Eubank more than it would hurt Smith to lose this fight. Now, Smith does come from a boxing dynasty, as you stated, there in the UK. Most notably his brother Callum, who also lost to Canelo. Is a former champion. He was undefeated when he fought him and lost to him, but Liam has fought Canelo and lost to him as well. He also lost to Jaime Munguia, which neither of those is anything to sneeze at. So if Eubank is to beat him, that's going to be a nice feather in his cap, seeing as the people who have taken him out have either been undefeated or been like some of the best to ever do it. They've had some common opponents. Liam Williams being the one. And, Beefy beat him, but it was a majority decision where It was a unanimous decision for Eubank. Does that mean anything in this? No, because fighting math does not add up. Just because you beat someone better doesn't mean that you're going to beat the common opponent the same way. It'll be interesting to see how the fight what takes place in the fight and how it turns out. But for Eubank, well, for both of them, they want to win because a win leads to bigger things. For Eubank, that bigger payoff would be much sooner than later, as it would be with Smith.
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to be a great fight. They've talked a lot in the media, so I'm literally expecting fireworks to happen from this. Now, that's not going to be the only bout this weekend. Also taking place January 21st, UFC 283 is coming up. Now, the UFC has literally made so many headlines recently outside of the cage. It's going to be great to see that back in the cage. It's going to be taking place at the UFC Arena in Rio de Janeiro. Now, in the first match of that, we've actually got this week's Voice of Marquee matchup. It's going to be a battle between lightweights and Paul Craig takes on Johnny Walker. Well, tell us about this bout and tell us why this is Voice of Marquee matchup.
Wow. So, as you all know, there are criteria that go into selecting Voice of Marquee matchup. One being something that's close to me, either St. Louis, Missouri, Midwest, Nigerian, something of that nature. You don't have that in this card. Another key aspect, though, is the ability, or I should say the probability, of the fight being a performance of the night winner, either being like knockout or submission or fight of the night. These two gentlemen, they very, very rarely see the cards. Either they stop somebody or they get stopped. And really, especially for not Craig, but so we got Paul Craig and Johnny Walker. But for Paul Craig, if he didn't lose to Volkan Ozdemir, he could be challenging for the title. He's got 5 wins in a row and a draw, just recently. But outside of that, he's been winning big time. And like I said, he's only been to the cards twice in his career, where Walker's been to the cards 3 times in his career. And that's over 26 fights. The vast majority of his wins are by KO. So they both knock people out. Craig is known for his jiu-jitsu, even though Kung Fu is what is listed as his martial arts discipline. He's known for his jiu-jitsu and his grappling. He has snatched victory from the jaws of defeat on more than one occasion. For Walker, he's really fighting for his promotional life. He's lost 2 out of 3 fights over the past 5, and you go back even further, it's even more than that. He loses this fight, is not going to be good for him. He did bounce back with a win over Iwan Kutalaba in his last bout, but if he wants to stay in the UFC, he's got to keep winning. He can't lose like he's been losing. He came in to Zuffa, and I'll say Zuffa because we'll include his match on Dana White Contender Series, but he came in 4-0, and then since then it's been lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 1. So he really, really needs a win to stay in it, but he's gonna give it his all, and more than likely the judges will just have a ringside seat for an excellent fight. Their input won't be needed.
That was amazing. So it sounds like 2 hungry fighters, so I can understand why it's the Voice of Marquee matchup this week. Definitely. It's a full card, though. I mean, probably I'm going to add to my favorite list nicknames with this next one, and this is why this card is so amazing. So there's 2 premier title fights on this card. So next up, Biggie Small. I smiled just by saying it. In one of the premier title fights on this card, the UFC Flyweight Championship is going to be decided in a fourth bout. The fourth bout is expected to give either one of these men the advantage when Deiveson Figueiredo takes on Brandon Moreno. Now, since their initial meeting at UFC 256, Figgy's won once, Moreno's won once, and then they fought to a majority draw. Now, Deiveson recently stated that Brandon Moreno and I don't like each other. And when we step in the octagon, we want to put on an amazing show for the fans and everybody who likes Figueiredo versus Moreno. It's my fourth fight with this guy. I'm definitely going there to end this once and for all. Now, he also said that no matter what, he's actually eager to end the bout because he wants to make a move up to bantamweight, which is something that he's actually considered since his injury in 2020 when he injured his hand. So, Voice, what are your thoughts on this fourth bout? And what do you think about Figgy moving up to bantamweight?
I'm glad you brought that up because that was in my notes to discuss. Anyone who's seen any of the three previous fights knows that you are in for an absolute treat. If the title wasn't on the line, it definitely would be the Voice's marquee matchup and is probably favored as being the fight of the night just because of how these gentlemen bring it. The first time they fought, we have to remember that Figgy was in the hospital twice. He went in the hospital just before the fight happened, got cleared, came out, fought, and then went back to the hospital. And that was the draw. The second fight, he said he was not feeling well, which is the reason that he believes that Assassin Baby, which is his nickname. I love that nickname, but that's why he feels like Assassin Baby was able to beat him so easily. In the third fight, he, was at full strength, and we saw a different fight. Was it a very, very close fight? Absolutely. As all of their fights have been, with the exception of the time that Moreno choked him out. They've always been close fights. So, and here's the thing: he's too big for his britches. He's getting too big for his britches. He really should move up because it's so difficult for him to make 125. So I think win or lose, he'll move up. If he wins, that may give him a little more cachet. I don't think it'll be like the other champions who have gone up and will immediately challenge for the belt because there's so many moving parts going on at 135 and so many people who are notable that are coming up. So I wouldn't see that being the case, but could he be one fight in and get it? Yeah, he could. So it's interesting, and I'm interested in seeing him move up, but I'm more interested in seeing how this fight turns out, because this fight really, due to their draw, it settles it. They're 1-1 with a draw, so whoever wins will come out victorious. Now, Assassin Baby, he absolutely destroyed Kai France in his last bout to get the interim championship, which he'll look to unify with Figueiredo in this fight. But he's got a lot of stuff going on too. I can't say he's looking ahead, but he's got a lot of stuff in his recent past. He switched camps when he fought Kai France. And whose camp did he go to? Glory Kickboxing and MMA, headed by the now infamous James Krause. So, all of a sudden, as you're training and preparing for this title fight, you got your mojo back because you're under this new leadership, and now this new leadership is gone. How is that going to impact things? I saw him doing some training with Cejudo, who he's trained with in the past, because of their links on The Ultimate Fighter. So getting some good work there, training with champion Jean Weili, and people like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what his game plan is going to look like and what all he can really implement and or do with such a big switch so close to the fight?
I think what's interesting about this, and it's going to be an exciting fight, especially if you've seen the previous three. But what's interesting is Davidson hasn't fought since his loss, which was in 2021. So you've been literally stewing on this loss since it happened.
Well, he won that fight in 2021, but he's been out since then. He was hurt.
Oh, I'm sure that he lost.
No, he won the last matchup that they had, and that was his last fight.
Yeah, but I mean, he's literally been kind of stewing on that. So I'm eager to see exactly what's going to happen between the two. I do want to see what happens when he moves up to bantamweight, when he goes to bantamweight. Because one of the things that he complained about was constantly having to make the weight for flyweight and the anxiety sometimes it gave him. So that's definitely going to be a great bout. And ironically, that's not even the last title fight that we have for the night. Now, a UFC light heavyweight championship bout for the vacant title between former champion Glover Teixeira and Jamal Hill is actually expected to be the headline of the co-main event. But this is expected to be the headline of the event. Now, Teixeira was originally expected to compete at UFC 282 as a challenger in the rematch against Yuri, but Yuri pulled out and vacated the title after, I believe it was a serious shoulder injury. Glover was recently seen training with Alex Pereira in preparation to face the 11-1 Jamal Hill. So, boys, what are we expecting here? Because I know before, a lot of people weren't really too excited about the previous championship fight. And now I'm seeing people just kind of like, I want to see what's going to happen, see how much Glover can really take this out. So what are your thoughts on this bout? And what are your thoughts on seeing him train with the current champ?
Well, as far as we'll take it from last first. Training with the current champion, that's how it's supposed to happen because he is the trainer for the current champion. So I would expect if he is training him and giving him work to prepare for his fights, that he would do the same for his trainer, his master in Glover Teixeira. Now, as far as this fight being made, we have to remember when everything fell apart with Yuri, he said, he being Glover, like, look, if you want to give me Jan, because I have dispatched him before, I'll do that fight. But if you want me to fight Ankalaev, let's put it on the card in Brazil. I'm at home. It gives me a month to get ready for it. I can prepare better because that's such a different style than what I had to face with Yuri or the style that Jan brings. UFC's like, nope, gotta have this fight. So that's that. And then what happens? They go out and fight to a draw. They're upset. And I mean, the UFC really has had a bad couple of months, really kind of starting with that card and continuing on into this year. So they say, nope, okay. They fought to a draw, no winner, still vacant. And now it's Jamal Smith and Glover. Which again, Glover should have been fighting for it anyway, but things happen, and it seems as if there's been a bit of course correction, even though the UFC chose or tried to go a different way. Jamal Hill, I don't know if the spot is too big for him. Initially I felt like it might be. And time will tell as to whether it is. I mean, he has headlined the last two fights that he's been on, but those, if I'm not mistaken, have both been in the Apex too. So even though you're the headliner, it's not. You don't carry. It doesn't carry the same kind of weight as headlining for a show that's going to be in front of people. I mean, not that there's nobody at the Apex, but it's not like an arena full of folks, and definitely not like it's going to be in Brazil. He's fought some people with names, but most of them were on the downside, like OSP and Thiago Santos. He was supposed to fight Smith, supposed to fight God, I see his face and I can't think of Anthony Smith. I want to call him Alexander so bad. Anyway, he's supposed to face Anthony Smith, but that fell out. That would have been a good challenge. That would have really helped us to see where Jamal is. Granted, he's only had one loss, which was to the Bear Jew, which is why I said if not for that loss to Vulcan, he might be the one fighting for a title right now. Outside of that, though, he's been undefeated. But he's going in against a true vet, a former champion, someone who is now fighting for the title for, his fourth time? Yeah. So, this is, you're going against somebody, a legend, like a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it's really clear, even though Jamal Hill trains out of, or I should say the place that he trains is supposedly a jiu-jitsu place. I've never seen his ground game ever, like ever in life. And we know Glover can snatch up a submission at a moment, and that he has power. So, really for Glover, this is the last hurrah. You're fighting at home. And it's not a given that with a win, he doesn't go ahead and retire later this year, or that he even defends the belt. Right. He wants the rematch with Yuri, but I'm not sure that he can wait long enough for Yuri to get well and to come back. His experience alone should be enough for him to win this bout, but the bouts take place in the cage or in the ring for a reason, because on paper, things look one way, but in reality, anything can happen.
It was interesting to see what Yuri had to say. Yuri said he didn't feel like Jamal Hill deserved to be in the title bout, but then on the flip side, he also said he was okay with not having a rematch against Teixeira. So I'm not sure exactly how that will work if Teixeira comes out on top, but it would be interesting. I did find out that Hill's actually, his last 3 fights have either been fight of the night or performance of the night. So, he's got something to prove, I think, but you're definitely right, because Teixeira can, that submission, something he does so quickly is ridiculous. Even watching footage of it, I marvel at it. So, it's definitely going to be a great bout. It's going to be a great card overall. Make sure to tune in. Make sure to follow The Voice on Twitter, because you know The Voice is going to have feedback on it. We got multiple TVs. We're doing it big. This is what The Voice does. So we're just happy to prepare you for this weekend's bouts. Voice, give us your last word. I know you had a few things that you also wanted to talk about. So give us your last word and take us out, sir.
Yeah, so final words would be that, again, we're recording this on Tuesday, January 17th. And reportedly, on tomorrow, the 18th, Dana White's Slap League is supposed to debut on TBS. This is some tomfoolery. When it was first announced, I was like, what? Not watching that garbage. Watching people stand up and slap each other. Like, this is to borrow a phrase that is used and made popular by Mike Tyson. This is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. But what makes it even stranger that they would go through with this is that Dana White just got done slapping his wife, and the whole world knows about it. And what is this? It's his slap league. Dana White's slap league. It's crazy to me. And as we were talking about this off air, as far as Dana White and any kind of punishment or anything of that nature is concerned, it will only happen if the people call for it. And the fact that the slap league is going forward means that there aren't enough people saying that this should not be. We'll see what happens ratings wise and all that stuff. But I mean, even when Dana promoted it with a tweet, he got roasted in the comments. So we'll see. This sounds like yet another L. Like I said before, the UFC has been kind of losing over the past couple months, and this sounds like another L just waiting to happen. Now, one thing that's not a loss is that on the Eubank Smith card, you got Richard Riacopo. He'll be fighting. Not that he's guaranteed to win or anything of that nature, but he's definitely one to watch as far as upcoming fighters are concerned. So, if you have the zone or you have access to see the fight, definitely make sure you're there for the co-main event, because Richard Riacopo, he brings it.
Definitely gonna be a great weekend for combat sports. There's so much to say about the Dana White and the UFC situation. I'm not really a fan of how much everything is being swept under the rug. Like, when you compare it to, and it doesn't, it's not comparing, what's worse, but it's like, when you look at the coverage that Kyrie Irving got, or when you look at coverage that others get, even like I said, if you look at Brett Favre's coverage, it just seems like to be a larger disparity that needs to be talked about and it needs to be brought up. So it'll be interesting to see what those ratings are going to look like and how that's going to play out when that launches tomorrow, actually. So it's been an amazing show, ladies and gentlemen. MTMV Sports, we are the fans. We're individuals who love talking about sports, who love sports. We got group chats going on, all kinds of stuff. The voice is literally battering my basketball teams on a daily basis, and his basketball team is trash. But this is what we do.
I'm sorry, the Celtics are trash?
They're trash.
If you call leading the East, and I don't think we're leading the NBA, but leading the East?
They can't beat the Bulls or the Raptors, who are not even in playoff contention, so I'm not even going to go there.
It's an 82-game season. Everybody has an off night.
I'm not trying to hear that. Like I was saying, MTMV Sports, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe and follow us. We have everything that you need, anything that you're wanting to see. We've even got articles. Boyce has written some great articles, and we got merch. Boyce had a brand new shirt. Boyce, I'm going to need you to rock your shirt, sir. So
I am. It as soon as possible. I'm rocking it. My grands are gonna be rocking it. They getting their onesies so they can rock it. My kids gonna be rocking it. It's gonna be all over. I'm getting the MTMV joggers too to go with it. But woo, I'm telling you, the only thing I need is some green Ozels, and it'd be a murder scene all over the place. Just Shinobi in St. Louis all over the place.
The voice think he's Bruce Leroy, so I'm gonna let him have that.
Well, you say I got the glow, so
thank you for joining us for another episode. We appreciate you tuning with us. I have anything else to say. Voice, take us out.
Until next time, fight the good fight.